When I was starting out, I used to focus my practice on all the wrong things. But what I discovered from applying Stevie Wonder's approach to singing to the guitar is a mindset that is the exact opposite of what I had when I was first learning how to solo. Just attempting to translate his singing to the guitar has made me a more expressive guitarist. So we're gonna take a look at his singing and I'll show you what I learned. To understand the power of Stevie's singing, I need to show you why you must always first use a slowdown player, because it's hard to hear the vocal details at full speed.
We are amazed but not amused by all the things you say to do.
But when you slow it down, all the details become more clear and you hear things you didn't before.
So much concern but not involved with decisions that are made by you.
Your ear is by far the best teacher you can have. To make figuring out the melody easier, I actually had a Stevie Wonder transcription book along with listening to the recording slowed down, but even though it was a book from a big publisher, I still found two big mistakes. One was that they listed this chord in the chorus, a B-flat 7 sus, but really it's this, a B-flat 7 sharp 5, definitely a different sound and a reminder to always trust your ears. The other spot had to do with the melody, but first, let's look at the most valuable thing I learned while figuring out the verse. You see, a lot of times I'll start a phrase by sliding into the first note, often with the most used third finger like this. And for a phrase like this, I normally wouldn't slide up to that first note with my first finger, and I would just play it without sliding. But when I listened closely, that's exactly what Stevie was doing with his voice. He was also sliding down on the last note of each phrase like this. Throughout the tune, he usually started a phrase by sliding up and ended by sliding down. And it really made me rethink how I approach the beginning and ends of my phrases. We're gonna get to the biggest lesson I learned while figuring out exactly how Stevie sang this melody in just a moment. But before we get to that, let's listen to the chorus first. The other spot I found a mistake in the book was the first note here. My ear was telling me it was a fret higher. You know, so instead of, it's really, you know, and it's just that, you know, minor detail, but it makes a big difference. That little, you know, that note that's outside of the key, it gives it that tension, you know? And then the note after this one is just a fret higher, but it sounds like he's sliding up to it. Although I think it sounds better to bend it like this. Right? When a singer slides a note into another, it can translate to the guitar as either a slide or a bend, and it can sometimes be like a gray area. Although, if it's super long, a bend might not work, but bending works great when you want to just move a note somewhere, sometimes in between like that, you know, real subtle. Now we're gonna look at the main thing that Stevie Wonder can teach us all about becoming a better guitarist, but first, let's listen to the last section, the refrain, which summarizes the whole tune. Now the thing I like the best about this section is he slides this note up to this one. Most guitarists wouldn't bother to do it that way and instead just play it here, right? Just part of that scale shape right there. Instead he slides it up to there. It's more comfortable just to play it here, but a lot of times the best music isn't about what's the easiest. I used to always focus my playing on being the most efficient. Like when learning a scale, I would play it in a position and I would only use the fingers in a way that matched up like this. Which is great when you're starting out, but as soon as you can, you want to break out of that and start sliding around and bending notes with fingers that aren't just your strong finger. So the most important thing we can learn from Stevie's singing is that you want to forget proper technique and just let your fingers and hand move around. Let the music be the guide to how you play something and forget how you normally approach things. So you'll be asking, how do I get more of a vocal-like sound in my own playing? Well, I put together a free mini course called Make Your Guitar Sing. And using Don't Let Me Down by the Beatles as a simple example, I break down how to figure out the vocal melody, learn the details of how a singer shapes the notes, and how to apply it to the guitar so you can get out of that common rut of sounding like you're just soloing with a scale. You can find the link for the free course in the description down below, or just scan this QR code here. Now, we looked at what we can learn from Stevie Wonder's singing and how to apply it to the guitar, but there's something else we can learn from another singer that has an even bigger impact on our playing. So check out this video here, where we look at how B.B. King's singing influences his own guitar solos and how you can apply it to improve your own playing.